So with MSTY setting at a current distribution rate of 130%, let's take a moment and see where we're at on the chart and see if we're at any type of resistance or supports after today. Hello my friends, this is Legend. Today we're going to take a look at MSTY, today's current distribution rate being at 130%. Wow, that is insane, right? What a distribution rate. We did get our payouts this past Friday, and they should be showing up in your account either today, probably, or tomorrow. Depends on your broker that you use of when it actually shows up into your account. But we did get a very nice distribution this past Friday. So was super excited about that. And as you can see, that really bumped up our distribution rate to 130%. Very nice. So let's just go ahead and check out the charts and see where we're at. Okay, so here we are on the MSTY chart here. And as you can see, today it did close at $23.06. So it was down about 46 cents or almost 2% for the day. As you can see here, I had this line, this little blue line right here. It was bumping it at the bottom here, so it was somewhat of a resistance a few days ago. And then late last week, or the latter part of last week, it did break through. And now, as you can see, today's candle, we did come down and test it. So we'll see if we can use this line now as a support line, as that would be a very good sign of MSTY moving on up. Now I realize that Mr. or MSTR is the driving force for MSTY. But if you look at the charts, I mean, they look exactly the same. So let me show you what I mean. So if I flip it to MSTR, as you can see here, very similar, right? Hitting that support line right here, and hopefully we can bounce off of that. And let me just flip it just back and forth, and as you can see, the chart, the candles, those are my drawn in support lines, but I can even turn on the Bollinger Band and you'll see what that looks like. Let me turn and hide the lines here, and I'll turn on the Bollinger Band, and that is the Bollinger Band where it's setting currently for MSTR. So it is setting at about closed around about midways between the upper and the mid. And look at MSTY, same spot, right? Somewhere between that upper and mid. So I realize that MSTY is not the driving force. It is all about Mr., which in turn is all about Bitcoin for the most part. And that's the reason a lot of times I'll just keep it on MSTY to show the charts, because as I said, the charts are the same. If I'm using the charts to indicate my buy point or the points that I'm looking for to buy MSTY, I can use MSTY or I can use Mr. to give me those points. So as far as my buy points, I am looking personally for the stock price to get below the mid, and I prefer it to be closer to the bottom of the Bollinger Band. But in this area, for me, that could be a buy point. I look at the Bollinger Band, I look at the RSI, and I'll also take a glance at the MACD. But if I am bullish Mr., or in other words, MSTY, then I am looking for those buy points, because for me, I want to buy it low so that I can help to lower my cost average. And that way, when the price rises, overall, my account would show up. But that only really matters if you're looking to sell the shares. But for me, I am really only looking at distributions for the most part. But I do not necessarily want the price of MSTY to drop way down, because as that price drops down into, say, $10 or $11 for MSTY, then those distributions, percentage-wise, being 130% or of 100% or whatever for that distribution rate for a $10 stock is going to be a whole lot smaller of a distribution than if the stock is $30, right? Both of them would be at a, say, 100% distribution rate, but that ratio or that percentage of a $10 stock versus a $40 stock, that amount that you actually will receive would be less for the lower price stock. And if I'm in it for the distributions, I want MSTY also to be up in price. But that's how I think of it, right? Because you can see some of these other YMAX plays and Defiance plays or any of these other ones. And if the price is down low, even though it may pay out a high distribution ratio rate, the amount that you actually earn, and that's the dollar amount that you actually earn, will be much smaller because the share price is smaller versus if the share price was higher and you still get that same distribution rate, then therefore, of course, the amount that you receive would be higher as well. So that's the reason I a lot of times say I want to see MSTY to continually to move up, not necessarily so that the value of my shares is worth more. Again, that only matters if I'm selling them. And if I'm not selling them, I really don't care about that part. I really only care about that price because that affects that dollar amount of the distribution, even if we keep it at that 100% or 130% or whatever it is. So that's my thought process of why I want MSTY price to increase or at least stay flat. It can go down a bit, but I'd like for it to recover. But I'm sure that's what everybody would like. Everybody would like for MSTY price to increase. But I just wanted to explain that I am not necessarily looking for MSTY price to increase so that my shares are worth more. I'm only looking for it to increase so that my distribution dollar value would be higher for the same number of shares at that same distribution rate. So for MSTY currently, like I said here, we are coming down a little bit. But with those lines turned on, we are at that support line right here. If we bounce off of that, this could be a pretty good support line, but we'll see. And for those out there who want to see it on Mr., it's the same, right? There's my support line at roughly that 103.90. Now that's not exact, but that is just kind of drawn in here from where it bounced right here and bounced down and then broke through, and now it looks like it's trying to use this as a support line. So if we keep above this, hopefully we can move Mr. on up and therefore MSTY to follow suit. But if it comes on down and we get down below that midpoint, and my RSI 2 here, it is coming down as well, and if it gets down below that 10 and we are below that midpoint, for me, I might buy a couple shares, but that's just me. It could be continually to come on down. So that does not mean that's a bottom. It does not mean that's a good buy point, but that is what I'm looking for when I'm trying to find a good buy price. So I am being patient on my buy points, and sure, I will possibly miss out on some good buy points by doing so, but I just don't have the cash flow to buy pretty much at any point, right? I need to buy it at a good buy point. So for me, I'm looking for something below that mid to the bottom of that Bollinger Band. I am looking for the RSI 2, which is this yellow line, to go below the 10, and then I will consider buying a few shares. And I will reiterate that I would consider buying some shares because it all depends on, do I have the dry powder to do so? And why did it drop? Did it drop in one day all the way down to the bottom? Well, I don't necessarily want to buy into that, right? I may want to make sure that it's finished falling before I buy in. So it's not a black and white decision. It is a game time decision that you have to decide, just like I have to decide for myself. But anyway, we're super excited about that distribution we did receive, $2.37 per per share. Very nice. I know I'm still excited about that. And it looks like we might have found a nice little support line. And if it is, then I will probably miss out on a buy point yet again. But that is me. That is how I'm playing Misty. Well, I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, smash that like button. It'd be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, legend out.